In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to use derma rolling to help you go from this to this. Hey, my fellow follicle frontiersmen, it's DJ from Carrots and Brotherhood. Welcome back to the channel. And before we start, you have to know that I did have a hair transplant, and I really need to talk about the hair transplant. That way there's no confusion about what you're watching, and I don't want you to think that I'm sitting here trying to, pull one over on you and say that derma rolling solved all of my problems, and in fact, it might have been the hair transplant. The reality is I did have a hair transplant. I used to be very bald. You can see in this picture right here, I was extremely bald. Norwood 6, on my way to Norwood 7 bald. And so I had a hair transplant in 2014 to restore my hairline and also to restore the top of my head with hair. And so, I had hair put on the hairline, I had hair put on the top of my head, but it stopped right before the crown. And actually, if you look here, you can see there's like a line where it begins to get thinner. Yes, you can see the transplant scar. The transplant scar is a FUT scar, goes all the way around my head, but we're not here to talk about the scar. We're here to talk about how derma rolling can help you regrow your hair. It's from derma rolling plus using other things. So derma rolling is only a piece of what I do, but it is an integral part of my whole regimen. And so this video is helpful for anybody who's looking for trying to regrow their hair naturally without using any drugs, or if you want to add additional support to something else that you're already using, like Finasteride or Minoxidil. Derma rolling works wonderfully. So the areas that I'm mainly working with are the top of my head here. You can see it's thin right here on the top. And also, the crown, obviously, because I didn't have any hairs transplanted into the crown. All of the hair growth you see there is just from Minoxidil, Finasteride, derma rolling, and recently the Bioequa Energizer. Remember, I used to be really bald right there. So here's the derma roller. Guys, there's a lot of knockoff derma rollers out there. I fell prey to one of those knockoff derma rollers, and so I'm going to link a video up above. If you don't know if your derma roller is fake or if it is an improper derma roller with fake needles, make sure you watch that video, because there are a lot of fakes out there that look just like the real thing. And so in this video, you'll see me using this derma roller. This is a 1mm derma roller. Derma rollers come in all shapes and sizes. If you have questions about the size or the frequency of derma rollers, I'll put a card above. You can click that to learn about, which size is appropriate for whatever your goals are and how frequently you should use them. So you're gonna move in 5 directions when you derma roll: up and down, left and right, and then diagonally in both angles. There's a lot of wiggle room when it comes to how many times you should roll. These days, I roll about 5 to 6 times across, so up and down 5 to 6 times. Then I'll roll side to side 5 or 6 times, diagonally 5 to 6 times, and then the other way diagonally 5 to 6 times. There's really no rocket science involved here, guys. If you go 5 times, cool. If you go 10 times, cool. If you go 20 times, maybe you need to back off a little bit. Now, another common question I get about derma rollers is, how much pressure should you apply to the derma roller when you're derma rolling? And it's really hard to convey that across the internet and across this video, but I'll do the best I can. If you take a look here at me rolling my arm, you can see the 1mm needles sitting on the surface of my skin. I want those needles to just penetrate the skin. They should just enter the skin. It doesn't take a lot of pressure, guys. You'll know if you're penetrating the skin because you'll feel the pricking sensation. You'll feel it. And if you're derma rolling your head, you'll hear it in your ears. You'll hear like a popping. You hear like a popping sound as each needle penetrates the skin. You don't want to be too ginger when you're derma rolling, meaning you don't want to use not enough pressure, because if you don't use enough pressure, then you're just wasting your time. And at the same time, guys, that doesn't mean you get in there and you just dig that stuff into your skin, because that's gonna always do more harm than good. And it's like, why even do that to yourself? Okay, play around with it, guys. You'll figure it out the more you do it. But like I said, it's really hard to mess this up. All right, so derma rolling the crown. Remember, guys, this is not hard to do. Okay, you'll see me moving 5 times. Sometimes it'll be 6 rolls. Sometimes it'll be 7 rolls. It's just whatever feels, comfortable and right at the time is what I'm doing. But generally it's about 5 or 6 rolls. Like I said, it goes up and down all the way across my crown. And then I'm going to switch up the direction, and I'll go left and right in the same way. And this is where I told you you'll hear the popping sound, especially in the crown. You'll be able to hear it in your ears that the needles are penetrating the skin, especially if you're using a 1mm or higher. At 0.5, the needles are a bit shorter, so you may not hear it. Now, rolling all the way across the crown can be a bit awkward, and you're like, oh, am I re-rolling over areas that I've already rolled over before? You can divide your crown into quadrants, guys. So if you want to do it with one quadrant at a time, one section of your crown at a time, that's fine. Like I said, do what works for you. Some of you may not be working on your entire crown. Some of you may just be working on a spot. Just derma roll what you feel needs to be derma rolled the way you feel it needs to be derma rolled. The guide that I'm giving you here is simply what I've done over the past 3 years to go from bald to what I have on top of my head that you see in this video right here, okay? And that's it. You'll see the skin starts turning red. I got a bit of flaking there because I am using Minoxidil, but and then when I roll over the top of my head, it's the same thing. Up, down, left, right, and then the 2 diagonal directions. Now, what if you have longer hair? What if you have long hair and you're trying to figure out how to derma roll through long hair? Well, I don't have long hair, but I can show you what I would do if I did. You would just simply part the hair where you need to derma roll, and you derma roll that part. Of course, your strokes are gonna be a lot shorter this time because you're dealing with such a localized area, but the rules are the same: up, down, left, right, and the diagonals, okay? If you find that the needles are getting caught up on your long hair, I have heard from subscribers that wetting your hair first before derma rolling goes a long way to preventing that from happening, so keep that in mind. Now, I know that derma rolling is really big for beard growth, especially if you're into like Copenhagen grooming. I don't sponsor them, by the way, but I know the brand name. Or if you're just using like a derma roller to help support a Minoxidil beard challenge, if that's something that you're working on. Derma rolling the face is just like derma rolling any other part of your head, and you're just going to work in the same 4 directions: up, down, left, right, and both diagonals. As you roll over it, you'll notice that your skin will turn red. The skin on the face is very sensitive, so you'll start experiencing the redness maybe a lot sooner than you would on your crown or the top of your head. That's normal. Okay, and the same rules apply when it comes for the pressure, guys. You just want to apply enough pressure to where the needles are puncturing the skin. You don't want to get in there and hacksaw Jim Duggan your face, and then you end up with all these pop marks and maybe even scar tissue forming under your skin. You don't want those problems. Now, there are some tips and precautions that I want to give you guys in this updated video 2020. A lot of my knowledge that has changed over the past year and a half or so has come from consultations from the 2 doctors on the hair loss show. I'll link their channel in the description below. The biggest change to the way I derma roll is I used to wait 24 hours before I applied Minoxidil after derma rolling. You can search anywhere on the internet: Reddit, hair loss talk forums, Google, YouTube. You'll hear this thrown around a lot that you should wait 24 hours before applying Minoxidil after derma rolling, because you run the risk of getting side effects. I used to parrot this idea as well, but after consulting with Dr. Jai Prakash, and I'll go ahead and link that video up here for you. After consulting with him, it's changed the way I think about how Minoxidil works. And for the past 2 months, I've actually been applying Minoxidil and then derma rolling over the Minoxidil. So I'll apply Minoxidil, I'll wait a few minutes to let the alcohol evaporate off, and then I'll just derma roll over the Minoxidil. And as a matter of fact, in this video, maybe you saw my hair was a little bit damp, and that's actually because I had Minoxidil on while I was derma rolling. So understand that this is the way I do it, and I'm not telling you that's what you should do. You could be sensitive, so make sure you spot test. Another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to derma roll over any open wounds, obviously, or acne. Okay, guys, if you have any kind of pimples on your face or on your head, don't derma roll over the pimples, because all you're going to do is you're going to put the needles into, the acne, and then that acne is going to be coating the needle as it enters other parts of your head or face. Now you're just spreading acne all over, wherever you derma roll, and you run the risk of a breakout. As a matter of fact, you're probably going to have a breakout. So please avoid any acne. The hair loss show doctors also mentioned that derma rolling can cause a temporary shed. So shedding after, weeks after derma rolling is not uncommon, but it's not something you're like, oh, I should expect that to happen. So keep that in mind. The last tip I want to give you, and it's more of a precaution, guys, is be wary of over-treating with a derma roller. Over-treating basically means you either do too much rolling in one session. At the same time, you don't want to do it too frequently either. With the 0.5, I found that I get away with once a week. I could see myself getting away with twice a week with a 0.5, but I would never go any more frequent than that. With the 1mm, I only go every 2 weeks. If you have any questions, hit me up, dj@kbhood.com, or you can just visit the KB Hood website at kbhood.com. Also, check out my other content on the channel, guys. Not only derma rolling, Finasteride, Minoxidil, hair transplants, life with, losing your hair. There's a lot of topics on here and a lot of great people in this community of Keratin Brotherhood. So make sure you check out the rest of the content on the channel. Anyways, my name is DJ. I'll see you guys in the next video.